I did the unspeakable. I increased my damage by 300% and my survivability by tenfolds, but I had to sacrifice the skeletons. We kept the golem though. But not only that, I'm clearing dungeons way faster and I'm barely able to die anymore due to our new skills and aspects. And the fun part, there's a little trick to it. Let me give you a skill breakdown, the new aspects we're losing, full Paragon board, and as always, an example dungeon run. How do our skills look now? As our main damage source, we're still using Shadow Blind, which can go up to 2,500 in the tooltip, but with the aspects we're having, this ticks for 32,000 instead of 10,000 as before. And it literally takes every 2 or 3 seconds on the opponent, plus the actual damage you deal on top with like 50, 60, 7,000 corpse explosions. Now we're running Bone Storm together with a Golem, obviously, which surrounds you and the Golem. We also have damage reduction with the Bone Storm and, well, the critical strike chance, but that's a little bit useless. Golem Mastery stays, but you see we get all the skills for skeletons, everything rid. That's cool because now we have increased damage reduction by 18%, reduced by 2% for each active minion, so 16%. And we increased the sacrifice bonus for skeletal warriors and skeletal mages by 60%. To refresh your mind, we deal 15x, yes, 15x increased shadow damage, and also 15x more damage against vulnerable enemies, and that 60% more. Then with all the points we have, we could finally fill out Terror. Darkness skills do 9% bonus damage to enemies who are slowed, and they're constantly slowed, and 9% bonus damage to enemies who are stunned and immobilized. And, well, we have an update on Blight up here. Blight is now going for still slow, but also paranormal blind. Blight has a 30% chance to immobilize enemies for 1.5 seconds on impact. Oh, bonus damage. An updated skill tree is also in the description below with a path from 1 to 50 where you actually put your points in. Then we're also using Decrepify. Decrepify makes enemies slow as well, but the main thing that Decrepify does, it could stun, but it's also about lucky hit. Enemies hit while afflicted with Decrepify have up to a 15% chance to reduce your active cooldown by 1 second. That's really intriguing because as soon as they're decrepified and you start doing damage to them and damage over time and everything, that can continuously reduce the cooldown of your Bone Storm, which is right now at 60 seconds. So you do your Bone Storm, Decrepify, shadow stacking damage, and suddenly your Decrepify goes from 60 to 30 seconds. Plus the Blood Orbs you pick up, but I'll explain the aspects afterwards. We also freed up points to put into Corpse Explosion, and now I'm at a total at +8 Corpse Explosion points, which does make a huge difference in the overall damage you deal. The same goes kind of for Blight, because I got a glove that gives me 4 points. 4 points of Blight, a glove, yeah. That's actually what changed in the skill department. The Paragon board is the same, and I'll come to that after the dungeon demonstration to really go in depth in the Paragon board. For the aspects, number 1, Bone Storm and Bloodwave are also darkness skills. It's important that it says darkness skills, because if you get bonus of shadow damage and bonus of darkness skill damage, that's all now also on the Bone Storm. Enemies damaged by Bone Storm take 218 shadow damage over time. That's not a lot of damage, but that's not the point. We don't actually need the damage there to be high. We need the thing to be an actual darkness skill. You see the ring still has maximum minion life. That one I actually have to change out, but damage to slowed enemies and damage to distant enemies, both actually works really nice. And then the maximum life is generally good. Now for the next aspect, and this one is really interesting. Blood Orbs reduce your ultimate cooldown by 0.5 seconds. Yes, it goes up to 1 second. This one is also maximum life, vulnerable damage, damage over time, and shadow damage. Quite good. But the Blood Orbs is actually a nice trig, because in our pens we have an aspect. Consuming a corpse has a 30% chance to spawn a Blood Orb. As you know, Blood Orbs actually heal you, and Blood Orbs now reduce your ultimate cooldown. So you get bonus heal, and you get bonus cooldown while you're consuming corpses, which is what you're doing all the time. Oh, did I mention that you can increase the time of your Bone Storm by 8 seconds as it consumes 8 corpses, and every corpse it consumes has a 30% chance to also create a Blood Orb that then reduces your cooldown and heals you while you're Bone Storming around. And yes, 20% shadow damage over time, 4 ranks to blind, 40% damage to injured enemies, and lucky hit up to a 5% chance to heal. That lucky hit is useless. I will probably re-roll the lucky hit on that. On the other hand, there could be shit coming out of it. The gloves are fine as they are. Now important is still to keep the Choker of Decay on your amulet. Each time the Shadowblight key passive deals damage to enemies, it increases the next Shadowblight's damage within 10 seconds by 60%. This one goes up to 5 times. That's 300% bonus, 2,500 damage, does 10,000. We're not done though, because we finally got the upgraded weapon. You deal 226 increased damage for 6 seconds after the Shadowblight Key passive damages enemies 10 times. That happens instantly. So you go into a pack of 20 mobs, 3 elites, 4 elites, whatsoever, you get this already up straight away. Your whole damage is increased by 226%, which makes the Shadowblight Key passive do 30,000 takes, and your corpse explosion does anything from 60 to 100,000 damage. Also, this one is 60% increased ultimate skill damage. That means Bone Storm, and 36% damage to affected by shadow damage over time enemies. And that one is actually really important because it's not more dot damage, it's in total more damage to people that are affected by shadow damage over time. Overpower damage is a little bit useless, but we have also 200 intelligence plus. I might actually reroll the overpower damage. Then on my boots, we still have the Blood Mist triggers corpse explosion. That one is fantastic, but we actually put the one that does the shadow trail on Blood Mist away, which is a little bummer, but I don't have the slots to actually do it due to the way how it works with the gloves. And yes, we actually had to put our heat-seeking gloves off. Usually we would play the Hell from Below because it's X40 damage to corpse explosion, which really ramps up everything nicely. And it also increases your lucky hit chance. But I need the gloves for the cooldown reduction on the blood orb. But I need the gloves so I'd have the Bone Storm on the gloves and the cooldown reduction of the blood orbs here. Else I would have to use a one-handed weapon, and then I don't get 226% damage overall more. It's only 120%, so 100% damage less. On my chest, I have Blight's Defiled Area when spawned pulls in enemies around the affected area. That one could technically be changed for something else, but it's also nice as you're pulling them together and you're immobilizing them and you're bone storming. So you essentially pull them together, immobilize, they can't move, they can't attack, they're stuck, they're stunned, they get bonus damage because immobilized, and they're all in one center. It just works so good. Also, I got the new armor with plus 14% damage, 18% darkness skill damage, and here it says darkness skill damage. And let's go back to the ring, which says Bone Storm and Bloodwave are now darkness skills. Important. The maximum minion life, yes, I will have to reroll on this one as well. On the other hand, that increases my Bone Golem's life, so it's still not bad. My helmet has each time the Bone Storm damages an enemy, gain a barrier equal to 4% of your base life for 10 seconds. And as the Bone Storm duration gets increased, you still have this insane barrier going on and on and on and on and on continuously. This is also willpower, max life, intelligence, and the fire resistance. Yes, we could reroll that one because it's kind of useless to have even more fire resistance there. Let's be cocky testing this build for real and go for a 31 Nightmare Dungeon alone. The skill rotation for this one is quite simple. If there's one opponent, don't straight up activate Bone Storm. Go for Blight procs with the Golem and the Corpse Explosion. But if you have multiple opponents, we begin with Bone Storm, straight up into Decrepify, Golem Slam, Blight Spam, then Corpse Explosion. If there's not enough corpses, just Blood Mist around to create bonus corpses that you can zoom for Corpse Explosion automatically. Find a truly big pack with elites to show how that works. Bunch of simpletons. Oh, Curse Shrine, perfect. Ah, Decrepify, cooldowns. More corpses. Make this one totally escalate. Yeah, that's where you now can get the most out of Decrepify. Right? Love. Oh, my Bone Storm is still running, by the way, because, you know, the Bone Storm duration just gets extended. Always try to put Decrepify on to get that bonus. Put some corpses, Decrepify. Always work on that cooldown reduction. Even though I noticed that the Decrepify hits are a wee bit lower due to not playing the gloves anymore because we swapped the gloves out. It's noticeable. Bone Storm, again. Wow, Decrepify. The Decrepify Bone Storm combo is like my favorite thing, especially also the Blood Orbs, as you notice. Like when I spawn Blood Orbs on Corpse Consumption, again, 30% chance to spawn a Blood Orb on Corpse Consumption. That's also cooldown reduction. Oh, that's the packs we're looking for. You've watched the former builds, you notice how we're doing a wee bit more damage and how we're a wee bit more surviving, especially against these bigger packs. Let's get you all in. What's up, Mother Disciples? Just came here to, you know, get my cooldowns. Pull them together and immobilize. Yes, it's actually a nasty combo. You're pulling together and you're mobilizing. Let's get all of them. Let's get all of these on top. Trapify. Kill some corpses. And yeah, you kill enough minions to get enough corpses. Would you please come a little bit closer? I mean, the one thing I'm missing is definitely my heat-seeking skeletons. But I haven't found a way to put all these aspects on right now and keep the heat-seeking skeletons. A little bit of a bummer. It does happen. I'm more wondering how this Nightmare Dungeon does not have like more elites going on at this point. If I'm on... Oh. Well, you ask and you shall receive. I put Decrepify on and then go with Blood Mist through. Because as you can see, my cooldowns are ticking way below. Due to... also Blood Mist having a lucky hit chance to get that low. So if you generally have lucky hit chance on items, usually I find that to be a useless stat, but it has turned out with this build to actually be quite the useful one. Are you coming, lads? Bone Storm on. Get literally everyone in existence that wants to come. There, Decrepify twice. Oh. And watch some of these crits happening here. There's up to 50k just standard corpse explosions happening. The Shadow Blight is proccing for, if I'm not mistaken, we can get the Shadow Blight up to 20-30k just standard procs right now with the build we're running. So that's nice because before... Oh, hello there from the other side. Before, the Shadow Blight procs were around... $10k. And due to changing some things up, they're like 20 to 30k now. And Shadow Blight obviously procs constantly. Oh, hello there. Don't forget to put the Decrepify on. Very important. And some people say you don't have enough corpses to make Corpse Explosion. Well, honestly, for most packs, you don't actually need the Corpse Explosion. It's like for the Elite packs, we need the Corpse Explosion. And that's where you definitely have enough corpses. Also, Bone Storm can only extend up to 8 seconds. So it can only consume 8 corpses. So there's a limit to how many corpses it can consume. And then from that point on, you create only bonus corpses. Oh, damage reduction. Yes, we won't be having that. Oh, hello, Wolf. And if you really don't have corpses, oh, there's always the way to just do Blood Mist. Then get the Decrepify on. Do some more. And yes, I don't have the Bone Storm right now, and I would like to have it, but I'll just run through, collect some Blood Orbs. And again, you create these Blood Orbs and Corpse Consumption to just, you know, make corpses and consume corpses, and then make some more Blood Orbs. And then you also, again, are instantly on the road to just getting your cooldown done to get your Bone Storm back. And that's like your main plan, is more or less to permanently have the Bone Storm up. What is this? Oh, a Conduit Shrine. I'm loath to take these when I'm doing an example of a build, but Conduit Shrine, on the other hand, is just way too good to ignore that. Yeah, I want to show you how the build works and not how I Conduit Shrine through elite mobs, right? Even though I have to say on higher Nightmare tiers, the Conduit Shrine still works, but obviously is weaker than, you know, it used to be. Hello. I'm just here to run through every single one. Still haven't found a High Priest yet. Oh, there you are. Okay, Bone Storm on, Decrepify. Everyone together. Blight, 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 Blight. And, yep, that's the High Priest. I could probably do higher Nightmare Dungeons, but I just wanted to show you off how it works with a 31. We actually tried 40 plus yesterday with the team. And yeah, we're just flying through these. But there's also no reason to go that high because it doesn't give like that much more XP. Put the Decrepify on. Don't walk into the poison. Corpse Explosion them and absolutely obliterate Timmy, Jimmy, Sam, Dave, everyone. No, I just used that completely uselessly. That's a bit of a bummer. To find some people to reset that now on. If you're asking how's the damage against bosses, fire. Now I don't have the Bone Storm. Well, let's see how the Bone Storm without this. I mean, we still put the Decrepify on. We make the corpses. We consume the corpses. We make the blood orbs for the cooldown reduction. We throw this in 1, 2, 3. We take some damage because again, it actually makes you, more resilient. And that's it. That was it. That's how quick it is. We get Darkness, Gravekeeper, Scourge up right now, and I'm leveling the Dead Razor I was leveling, but I found a new one that I wanted. It's either for every 5 willpower, your golem gains 4% damage, and that is to, update his slam to do even more damage. But I was also looking at a different one. That is either plus 30% bonus to all magic nodes within range, and then enemies affected by curse skills take 10x% increased damage, and we're cursing people constantly. Or the territorial node, for every 5 dexterity purchased within range, you deal 2% increased damage to close targets. Yes. And you do actually need dexterity for a lot of nodes. And then you gain 10% damage reduction against close enemies. Also an interesting proposition, because as you see, we're constantly in these people. I think I'm going to start leveling up territorial. I'll probably find a reason for this one. Now to the Paragon Breakdown. We're still going from down here over the 20% damage node, the resistance to all elements, max life nodes, the 20% damage node, and also the 200 armor node to essentially be more resilient. And we're also having the damage reduction against enemies affected by shadow with the Wither, because shadow damage is again what we actually do increased damage with. We're going over the dragging shadow nodes, and then we have the bonus potion healing and maximum life because you need more life. Right now I have a total of 7,000 HP, and I would actually like to have 8,000 to 9,000. As we then fast travel forward to the right side for 20% bonus shadow damage over time, plus also bonus shadow damage. And here we're getting currently plus 40% shadow damage on top and 20 intelligence, and we also get shadow resistance and even more intelligence. What I'm thinking about swapping this one, which is grants bonus to all rare nodes within range, and then you deal 2% increased shadow damage up to 12% for every close corpse. But for that, I need the 25 dexterity, but it's obviously possible to do this. End of the day, though, I do really use up all the corpses extremely quick, so I might actually change this glyph for a different one for the bonus of rare nodes with another multiplier, which would be, for example, Darkness. For every 5 willpower purchase within range, you deal 7.5 increased shadow damage. Also works. And then whenever your minions deal shadow damage to an enemy, and then also whenever you or your minions deal shadow damage to an enemy, the enemy deals 2% reduced damage up to 10% for 5 seconds. So a huge damage reduction as well, which increases shadow damage in total, and the Scorch is only shadow damage over time. We might actually swap that, or bonus put it here as well, because there is, as always, willpower, 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 and I think there is a bunch of willpower, willpower, willpower. So the amount of willpower nodes that we actually have close by is quite mental. Now you see me, I fast travel forward also to the next board, and I also took the damage versus elites, as you can see here. And that is 10% damage to affected by shadow over time, which is good because that is 10% damage in total plus and not 10% damage over time plus. And now here at the next board, I find myself a little bit at an impasse, because at the one time I want to have your golem does 40x increased damage and 40x maximum life. And that's actually really good because the 40% increased X damage, right now the golem does 15,000 damage with a slam, and we could get even more golem damage and life, and we could get more. It's intriguing what we can do with this board to really make the golem an absolutely monster. But we could go also for the Flesh Eater, which says consuming 5 corpses grants 40x increased damage for 6 seconds, and consuming 5 corpses happens instantly. We start the fight, we go for the Blood Mist, we go for the Bone Storm, and we have 5 corpses consumed straight away. So if we take this board, and I would probably keep it like this so I can straight up rush for the Legendary node for the Flesh Eater. The problem is, here's resistance to all elements and intelligence, and here is 16 damage to elites and intelligence. That's kind of it. You also have here some lucky hit increase, which is not really good. There is 4% potion healing. And here you have 25% damage to endured enemies and critical strike damage. It's all not really crazy when it comes down to that. Poison resistance and armor, poison resistance. These are not the killer nodes. I might just grab the Flesh Eater, like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, like just grab it like with 20 Paragon points or so, and then ignore that board. Because the Flesh Eater is so good, 40x damage, and we consume the corpses. So just grab that, and then ditch out again and get somewhere a glyph socket that's worth it. I still love the minion build to death, and I've also updated all the links in the description below to fit all the findings we've learned for the 1 to 50 with the new paragons and everything. That being said, this undying necromancer that can just walk in, survive, cooldown reset, and do the same, it's a joy to just be a solo monster that does not die, that does not need corpse tendrils, and that does not need wound spear. I'll be having an eye out for minion buffs to definitely revise this one, update it, but keep in mind from level 1 to 17, I actually played this build, but I'll make a new guide also from 1 to 70 or from 1 to 50 with the build we're running right now. In the meanwhile, if you want to play the Minion Mancer, there's the links. Watch it right now.